Morning friends, I am running a bit behind schedule. I actually woke up at 6, but it took me longer to pack my stuff up than I had anticipated. So I'm gonna call Bell Services now and have them hold my luggage for the day. I'm gonna go to Magic Kingdom for at least, I'm hoping for like 4 hours, grab some food, go on a few rides, and just like enjoy a little bit more of the magic before I have to head to the airport. It was an amazing stay. I'm literally looking at like the most gorgeous giraffe slowly walking towards me right now. Oh, I love Animal Kingdom Lodge so much. And also the beds are like so comfy. Like for the first time in months, my back doesn't hurt. So I'm feeling pretty good, but we really need to get going because I need to get my magic in. So let's get going. Look at him go. Look at, oh, so beautiful. This one has come to visit me every morning. I love it. Oh my goodness. Thanks for coming to say goodbye. Oh, and here comes the other ones. They look pretty young too. Oh, I love giraffes. This is like the best hotel ever.
To the magical friendship fair!
Hi, buddy! We're so glad you're here!
What a great day!
This is wonderful! Welcome home to the place where stories come alive. For the child inside, so much more to be seen, so much more than a dream before your eyes.
Everybody's ready!
Oh, Mickey, I just love the friendship fair! A day of joy and music and having fun together!
That's right! We traveled far and wide, inviting new friends to today's celebration.
In the Southland, there's a thing way down on the river, where the women are everything, and all the men are rivers. They all have dreams, just like you and me.
They do?
Oh yes, they do.
He's malicious, mean, and scary. His sneer could curdle dairy. And violence-wise, his hands are not the cleanest.
But despite his evil look and his temper and his look, he's always here to be a concert pianist.
Can't you see me on the stage performing Mozart? I still they clean.
Things seem small, and the fears that once controlled me.
Okay, one last little view of Animal Kingdom Lodge outside the savannah. The weather is insanely beautiful today, and I've just really been enjoying hanging out on these little rockers. There's a little birdie in the trees here. It's the only bit of wildlife I've seen. If I have time, maybe I'll go take a walk down there. But I think I'm going to go change for my flight so that I'm comfortable and kind of start getting myself together so that I'm ready when the car gets here. But man, just like how beautiful is it today? Look at this. So I'm just sitting in the rocking chair at Animal Kingdom Lodge waiting for my car. I have the car booked for 3 because my flight was supposed to take off at 6, but it's now not taking off till like 7:20, maybe later. So it looks like I'm going to be spending a lot of time at the airport because I already have my car booked and it's due to be here in like an hour, so it's too late to change that. I just hope that my flight actually takes off because right now the flight that I'm getting on, that plane hasn't even left LAX yet. So I don't know what's going on because usually the LAX plane was supposed to leave I think at like 8 a.m., 9 a.m. And usually first flights of the day, like that plane got there last night. So usually that flight is very rarely delayed. So I don't know what's happening today. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed. It's supposed to take off in 15 minutes. We'll see what happens. Hopefully I get to go home tonight. It's such a beautiful day here. It's like high of 70. There's a cool breeze. It's like the most perfect weather that I've experienced this whole trip. And of course, it's the day I'm leaving. I think all the giraffes must be on the Kidani side, which makes sense because we always saw giraffes like every day, all day when we stayed over there last time. But still, this view is just so pretty. I love these little rocking chairs that they have too. They have 2 areas on either side of the main lobby. And they overlook the savannah. The other one's just over there, underneath that little cover you can kind of see. So you can either come to one of these sitting areas, or they have this really nice one out here. So when it's cold out, they light that, and that's a fire pit. You can sit around the fire pit. I also know there's some benches kind of dotted around the savannah too. I like that if you don't have a savannah view room, you can still find a place to enjoy it. So after staying here on Jumbo's side twice now, Kidani once, I've done DVC 2 times, and this time I did just normal resort. I can hands down say the Kidani side is my favorite. I want to stay there over and over again. I did not like staying on Jumbo's side as much this time. It wasn't as relaxing or quiet, but I think I'm going to do a full comparison video and kind of like go into more details why. It is time to say goodbye to Animal Kingdom Lodge and Walt Disney World. I will miss this amazing lobby and the views so much, but everything about my stay has been incredible. My only complaint is that once again, I didn't get a chance to use either of the pools, but that just leaves me something to enjoy for next time, and there will definitely be a next time. So for my journey to the airport, I used MEARS private car service again. I cannot recommend them enough. Both drivers were amazing, really friendly and helpful. Both my rides to and from the airport were really great. I have 0 complaints. I highly recommend MEARS private car service if you're looking for a more direct route to your resort and you want to know what fees you're paying ahead of time. I don't know, this monorail at the airport is both the happiest and saddest ride of my entire Disney trip. It's happy when you're getting on it when you first get to Orlando, and it's sad when you know you're going back. But I'm going back to Rex and Stinky, and I honestly can't complain about that. What I can complain about, though, is that my flight is even more delayed than before I left for the hotel. I think it's a couple hours now, so I need to find something to do to kill some time. I decided to use my miles again to book a spot at the Club Lounge for American Airlines. It was about 7,500 miles, totally worth it for me. I had this great little spot at the bar, drinks are included, but I do recommend having some money to tip your bartenders. But my flight finally arrived hours later. I did not get home from this trip until after 1 a.m. when I was
due to be home closer to about 10 p.m. So only 3-hour delay, but considering I'd been up all day and with the time change, it was rough. My flight, super smooth though. I love American Airlines. I fly them every chance I get. And on the flight home, I watched Oppenheimer. If you haven't seen that, highly recommend it. Loved it very much.
So we're back home and the trip is over. So I thought I'd take a little bit of time to kind of give like a review of my trip, go through some pros and cons, like some of my favorite things and some things that I maybe wouldn't do again, just to kind of hopefully help you plan your trip. So if you've made it through this whole series, thank you so much for following along. I had so much fun on my first solo trip to Walt Disney World, Orlando, because I also did Universal. I go to Disneyland solo all the time, but going to Disney World solo was a completely different experience for me, mostly because it is more of a vacation. I was gone for 12 nights. I stayed in 3 hotels. I flew cross country by myself. You know, it was really liberating to do it all on my own. I've actually traveled around the world solo, but it's always been for work. I've never done a solo vacation. So this was just something really special, and I'm really glad that Rex pushed me to do it. So first up, would I do a solo trip again? Absolutely. Now, I will say that doing a solo trip came with both a pro and a con. The pro was that I could make my own schedule, do whatever I wanted, and every day was catered to me. That is really amazing, especially if you go to Disney a lot with friends or family or little ones. Your trip tends to be taken over by everyone's wants, and that's perfectly fine. That's how it should be. But when you're on a solo trip, it's whatever you want. And I loved that aspect about my trip. But that is also a con for me. I found that because I was just doing the trip for me, I felt no real pressure to keep a schedule, push myself to do things. So I found that I didn't do as much as I had wanted to do. I had this vision that I was going to go on this trip and go on every ride and eat all this different food and just vlog so many things. And I find that when you travel with friends or family, it's sort of the same thing. You're making sure everybody is getting their must-dos done. And a lot of times that means that you're not doing your must-dos. Well, it turned out that my must-dos, it wasn't a super long list. So once I kind of did them, I felt that I didn't really have any structure each day. So I did have this trip entirely planned out day to day. I knew which parks I wanted to do, which rides I was going to go on. And that definitely changed day to day. As you will have seen if you watch the series, you'll see me start a lot of the days saying I was going to do this park, now I'm doing this park. Well, again, that goes back to that pro and con. It's a pro because I got to change things at the last minute. I wasn't disappointing anybody. And because of that, I had the best trip ever. I got to do everything I wanted to do in the moment, and it was amazing. And again, the con is just that I didn't stick to a good structure. It meant that I maybe missed things or I couldn't push myself to do things some days. But overall, would definitely do a solo trip again. I recommend it to everyone who's on the fence about it. I know some people are a little nervous about the idea of either traveling by themselves, staying in hotels by themselves, or they're worried that they're going to be bored while they're in the parks. And I think as long as you kind of have an idea of what things bother you going into a solo trip and how you're going to address them, I think you'll be fine. And then when I stay at hotels by myself, I really prefer to stay in hotel-style hotels rather than motel styles. And what I mean by that is if you look at, say, Port Orleans Riverside, all of the doors to the rooms are on the outside. I prefer to stay in places where the doors to the rooms are in the inside of a building. I feel like a lot of it's just in my mind. It probably doesn't add any extra security, but just having that extra barrier between me and the outside world, it brings me a little peace of mind when I'm sleeping at night. So all 3 hotels I stayed at were actually like that, and it definitely helped me sleep better. And then as far as making sure I don't get bored in the parks, I typically don't because I love being there, but one thing that I like to do is I'll either bring my Kindle or I'll make sure I have a book downloaded on my phone. So while I'm waiting in lines, if I'm feeling a little antsy or bored or lonely, I'll just read the book, and it really helps pass the time. It also helps encourage me to wait in longer lines. I would say that when you travel solo, one of the most difficult things is waiting in long ride lines or ride queues. And it doesn't have to be a book. You could play on your phone if that's what you prefer doing. You can bring your headphones and listen to a podcast. Anything that you enjoy that will just help make that line move a little faster will help you enjoy your trip better. Now, I was very lucky and I do have a couple friends in Florida, and as you saw, I got to spend a lot of time with Nora. So I never felt lonely on this trip, but I will say that that is a con that some people might struggle with if you are used to talking to people on a regular basis. You live in a big bustling house, it might be tough for you to spend more than a few days away from that. I did 12 nights, and honestly, I would have been fine doing 12 nights even if I didn't get to spend time with Nora. I am very good on my own, but I think you have to know that about yourself. If you're not good on your own, but you still want to do that solo trip, maybe do like four nights, 5 nights. Start slow, see how you feel. I started at the Grand Destino Tower at Coronado Springs Resort. I do really love this resort. I think it is one of the most beautiful resorts on property. There are so many amazing restaurants to choose from. It is the best moderate resort in my opinion. However, it is my second time staying there, and it was my second time not having a good time staying there. So you're like, Rachel, you just said you loved it. What do you mean? Okay, so I love the site. I think the place is beautiful. I love walking around. I think the stores are great. There's a lot of really amazing activities. The food is some of the best on the property, but every time I've stayed at the hotel, I didn't have a great time as a guest of the hotel. Last time, so the first time I stayed there, we didn't have hot water any of the mornings that I was there, and I didn't know to complain to the front desk. But when I came back again this time and I didn't have hot water, I was like, all right, this is just what happens here. There's no hot water before 7, but I did talk to the front desk this time. They were really wonderful. They actually gave me like $100 credit, which I was not expecting, and they magically fixed it without ever going to my room. I know that because I was in my room, and all of a sudden I had hot water in the mornings again. So I don't know if this is a thing, let me know in the comments, but I kind of feel like they, for energy conservation, maybe don't start hot water to all the rooms before a certain time unless someone says something. And that was just kind of the impression I got, because she literally fixed it just by like tapping on her iPad. But yeah, so that was just one thing, and it was fixed. So you'd think like, okay, so the rest of the trip's gonna be great. I was still determined to love the Grand Destino Tower. However, and I have read a few Reddits and some things on forums where people have had similar experiences, I understand the need for the security checks, the daily security checks. Most of the time they just pop their head in a room just to make sure everything's on the up and up, especially if you're denying room service. But on my first day, on my check-in day, I had like 5 or 6 checks. I kept having people come to my room asking me if I wanted it cleaned, and I kept telling them like, I just checked in. And they were so confused, and I'm like, I just checked in. So I called the front desk, and then because I kept turning room service away, they sent security to come take a look in the room. And then I got a phone call a little bit later who was like, we need to send security up. It's just, you know, we have to do this every day, so sorry for the inconvenience. And I was like, okay, well, someone was actually just here, plus room service came a few times. So it was just constant. I couldn't even unpack. I was trying to unpack. I was trying to rest after my red eye, and it was just constant knocks on the door, constant people calling me. So that really kind of put a bad taste in my mouth. And then as the trip went on, there was no schedule for housekeeping. I went like 3 days without housekeeping, and I never had the do not disturb thing on my door. So I didn't really know what was going on, and I needed housekeeping because Nora was staying with me for a couple days, so I wanted the bed refreshed. So I called down to talk to them about the housekeeping, and they said, well, you were scheduled for it for yesterday. And I was like, well, no one came yesterday. And they apologized, and they said, well, we'll send someone up today. Well, no one came that day either. And then on the next day, I got called telling me that because I kept denying room service, they had to do another security check. And I was just, that's when I kind of decided, I was like, I can't stay here ever again. I don't want to drag on too long. But that was just my experience at Coronado Springs. I saw other people did have similar experiences as well. I do think it has something to do with the fact that it is a convention hotel. So they get a lot of people there that are not necessarily there for Disney. And maybe there's just extra security. It could be the way the hotel manager runs it. I don't know. I just know that of all the Disney resorts that I've stayed at, I have never had an experience like that where I'm constantly having to tell room service I just checked in, or ask for room service, or have security knock on the door. So as far as I'm concerned, the 3 hotels that I stayed at, I started at Coronado Springs, and that was my least favorite as far as the overall stay went. As far as food goes though, like I said, some of the best at Walt Disney World. Toledo is one of my favorite meals ever. I can't wait to go back there. The food was incredible. It's not just about the ambiance. I can't rave about it enough. The Three Bridges Bar and Grill, I didn't really eat a whole lot there, but the Sangria University was like probably the highlight of my entire trip. I had so much fun at that. It was fun going with my friends, but also it's kind of like an educational seminar about sangria, but also a comedy act at the same time. We laughed the entire time. The sangria that they poured for us they were all amazing. I really enjoyed getting to make my own. And then also they give you a plate of guacamole and chips. that was delicious. It was so good that I want to go back to Three Bridges again just to have some food and get sangria, because everything that I did have there was amazing. I cannot recommend the Sangria University enough. It is the best. I loved it so much. While we're on the topic of drinking classes, I also did the La Cava Tequila experience. I did really enjoy that one. I didn't have as much fun at that one as I did the Sangria University, and it is significantly more expensive. However, the reason why the tequila experience is so much more expensive is because you are tasting very high quality tequilas. I think we had 5 pours, plus you get a top shelf margarita as a parting gift. So with all that in mind, it does add up pretty quickly. And I found the tequila experience to be much more educational compared to the Sangria University. Sangria University is a party. It is a fun time for everybody. The tequila experience is for serious tequila drinkers who want to learn more about where tequila comes from, how it's made, what makes different types of tequila, and the right way to sip all of them. So I did really enjoy it. I learned so much. I actually would do that one again one day. I think I would have had more fun doing that one with friends because it is more of an intimate setting. I could hear everyone kind of like talking to each other, like, oh, this is really good. Oh, I like that one. But it was all very hushed tones. So being by myself, I did feel a little excluded. Whereas at Sangria University, I definitely could have done that one solo. So if you love tequila and you're looking to learn a little bit more about tequila, to find your favorite one or to learn the right way to taste them, I definitely recommend this experience. But if you're not a huge tequila fan, or you're more of just of a margarita fan, you like sweeter drinks, I would maybe skip it, especially for the price. It is a very expensive experience to add on if you don't love tequila specifically. Just a quick recap. Sangria University is more lively, bubbly, fun. It's loud. There's lots of laughter. That's something you can definitely do on your own or in a large group, and it feels more like a party. The tequila experience is definitely more refined and grown up and educational. They're both educational, but one felt more focused on education than the other. Another add-on experience that I did this trip was the Caring for Giants tour. I really loved that. Definitely recommend that one as well if you like elephants. There are a couple quick highlights for that one that I want to call out. One, the price. It was $39 per person. I was also able to get a discount as a DVC member, so that was awesome. I don't think there's any other tour that's that cheap that you can do at Walt Disney World, so that was pretty cool. It's pretty short though. I believe it's about 90 minutes. You do get to go backstage a little bit. I couldn't film any of that, but it was really cool to go backstage at Animal Kingdom. You kind of learned a bit more about where and how they care for the animals in the parks. And I believe it's the closest you can get to elephants at Animal Kingdom. I've done the Wild Africa Trek in the past, and you don't get as close to elephants as we did on this tour. If you're on Kilimanjaro Safaris and you're going through the elephant section, you're on the other side of the land where the elephants are. So you're all the way back there and you're actually closer to where the elephants are roaming. And I think this is a repeatable experience because we saw the males out and about and they had the females kind of resting and being fed in another section, but they swap them from time to time. So depending on when you go, you're gonna see different elephants. I was kind of bummed because baby Cora had just been born and you could see her off in the distance, but I know other groups got to see her kind of like roaming and playing. So I think it's a very cool experience because you don't know what the elephants are gonna do on the day. I love elephants, so I just really enjoyed it. Obviously, you all know how much I love Space 220. I was so glad I got to go there twice on this trip. Once we went for lunch, so we did the sit-down prefix menu, and then the second time I did a walk-up and was able to get the bar. I love both experiences for different reasons. I loved the sit-down lunch because I got to do that with Nora and Jorge, and that was so much fun. You get more time there. I don't feel as rushed having like a sit-down meal at Space 220. I felt like the cast members were really playing into the theme and they were all really on point, so I enjoyed that experience a lot. But I also really enjoyed doing the walk up to the bar because it's an a la carte menu and you can order off any of the menus, not just the bar menu. So that definitely can be more price efficient for you. If you're dining at the restaurant, you have to order from the prefix menu. The lunch one is a bit cheaper because it doesn't include dessert, but you can also add dessert if you choose to. People seem to either love it or hate it. I love it. I love the experience. All the food I've had there has been really good and the service has always been amazing. So we also stayed at the Grand Floridian and the DVC Villas and the new ones, the Studio Villas, I think they're called. And it is one of the most gorgeous rooms I have ever seen. I think as far as the rooms go, it is the best looking one that I've stayed at Walt Disney World. And I loved staying there with Nora. It was such a special trip. I loved that we took time to relax at the resort the one day. We enjoyed food there. We enjoyed the pool. and we really just made the most of being at the Grand Floridian. The Grand Floridian will always have a special place in my heart. It was my first favorite resort at Walt Disney World. It was the first place that I fell in love with as a kid, and I don't think that will ever change. The third hotel I stayed at was Animal Kingdom Lodge, and that has quickly tied for my favorite resort with Grand Floridian. Every time I stay there, I feel like I'm home. Like, I remember walking into the hotel this last trip and just instantly feeling at peace and relaxed and happy. And I just love that about Animal Kingdom Lodge. I don't know if it's the animals. I love animals so much. It could be that. It could be just the general vibe, but it is definitely like one of my favorite places to stay. I cannot wait to stay there again. I stayed in a cash room this time. I did not use DVC points. So it has been renovated, so it was a very nice room. I really enjoyed that. Like, everything was pretty new in there compared to the DVC villas that I've stayed in that are in desperate need of a refurb. So and I think they're doing a refurb in 2025. They haven't confirmed a date, I don't think. So if staying in a newer, fresher room is important to you, I would definitely try to stay on the non-DVC side. There are some DVC villas in the Jumbo House. I believe they're on the 4th or 5th floor only though. And then the Kidani Village, that is all DVC villas. So just keep that in mind when you're booking. If you're like, I really want an upgraded room, I don't want old carpet, and I don't want, a crummy pull-out sofa, then I would suggest doing the resort side and not the DVC side. Rooms aside, my favorite hotel of the trip was definitely Animal Kingdom Lodge. I paid for a standard view room because I knew I wasn't going to be at the resort a lot, and I was lucky enough to get a bit of an animal view or a savannah view, and it's still technically, like where I was, it is still technically considered a standard view room because there's an obstruction. It's not like a full open view, but I still got to see the giraffes every day, and that was amazing. So that was real pixie dust for me. I think the food on site is incredible. It's the most unique food that you're gonna find at any of the Walt Disney World resorts. You have a few options to choose from. You have Chico, which is your more upscale restaurant. There's Boma, which is a buffet. You can do breakfast, lunch, or dinner there. You can go over to the Kidani Village side and eat at Sanaa, which has the amazing bread service. They also have a bar that you can like walk up to and grab some snacks from, and they do to-go meals as well. They also have one of the most peaceful bars on property. It's called the Victoria Falls Lounge, I believe, and it's literally in between the stairs going from the main lobby level of the Jumbo House down to Boma, and it's just tucked off into the side. It is so quiet over there. They are known for having the most South African wines outside of South Africa, so I did a wine tasting there. They have a few bits and bites you can have as well. But if you're looking for a really quiet and relaxing place to grab an amazing cocktail or a great glass of wine, definitely recommend that lounge. And then just one final point, one of the things I love most about Animal Kingdom Lodge is that it is a hotel, a zoo, and a museum all rolled into one. When you're walking through the lobby, you will see lots of artifacts and art pieces from various places in Africa. And if you have any questions about them, they have cultural representatives walking around, and they are always willing to help answer questions or tell you more about the culture. And I just find it's a really cool experience that you don't get at any other Walt Disney World resort. Okay, I'm almost done talking, I promise. So those were just kind of my highlights on some of my favorite dining experiences, my ranking of the hotels, and then how I felt about doing a solo trip. And then just overall, I wanted to say that this was one of the best trips I've ever been on. I loved that I got to spend so much time with Nora. I also loved that I got to spend so much time by myself just appreciating the parks. I find that when you're by yourself, you spend more time taking everything in and you're appreciating things more. You're seeing the little details a bit more than when you're with other people. At least that's my experience. And I'm very fortunate and lucky, I know, that I get to go as often as I do. Overall, my first solo trip to Walt Disney World, 10 out of 10, 100% would do again. And also can't wait to go with friends again, because as much fun as I had doing everything on my own schedule and doing all the things that I wanted to do, it is just as much fun sharing all those experiences with people that you love. So, okay, I promise I'm done talking. I just wanted to take some time to do some reviews and just talk about some of my favorite things from the trip. I hope that you enjoyed coming along for this Walt Disney World vacation solo trip with me. I had so much fun bringing you all along with me. One of the things I love most about vlogging is that I never feel like I'm alone, even when I'm doing solo days at the parks, because I'm always with all of you. Also, the second favorite thing I love about vlogging, I get to relive all the amazing memories over again when I edit. So I had so much fun editing the series, and I cannot wait to start the next one. I have so many fun trips
and things planned for the future. I'll give you a little tease on what's coming. I have my first ever Orlando holiday vacation coming up. I have never been there for the holiday season, and I cannot wait to see all the decorations and share that with everyone. We also went on our first Disney cruise on the Disney Wonder, and that series will be coming out very soon as well. I have some Halloween fun at Disneyland that will be coming up, and I have like a huge trip, not Disney, but kind of Disney, coming up next year that I'm not ready to announce yet, but I'll probably announce it in our December series. So stay tuned for that, but it's big and I'm excited. So thanks again for coming along. I appreciate you all so much. If you enjoyed this series and you want to come along for more, I'd love for you to hit that subscribe button. And as always, magic's out there.